What? Bang!
Whoa! Wrestling podcast. Just when they think they got the answers, I change the question.
Rep screwed rep.
Yeah.
Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Did he do it? Unbelievable.
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am Macho King, you savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for...
It's me, Austin. I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, so welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Guys, ladies, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available through Facebook, app.wrestlerunstoppable.com. Create your wrestlers, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation from the ground all the way to the top. All included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. And I'm going to throw this out there. If you join Wrestler Unstoppable, shoot me an invite through the app, and I will join your corporation and help you get a boost. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, what's your name in the shout-outs? Like my good buddy John down in Texas. John, love giving you the shout-out. Check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast and sign up today. Don't forget, we have loyalty rewards. If you are a $15 a month contributor, you can co-host a live show with myself. $7.50 a month contributors, you get entered into a drawing to also co-host an episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Everybody, welcome to this episode of the podcast. If you've got questions, you've got comments, something you want us to touch on in the future episode, give us a shout. Pro Wrestling Sound Offline 267-642-1160. We will get to those topics in a future episode, but tonight we have plenty to get into. I think, in my opinion, the biggest story of the week is coming out of AEW because a former AEW champion is no longer on their roster page. Former AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May has been the talk of the week, is gone from her profiles off their website. The word is she's headed to WWE. Look, we've been debating this for weeks, months. Does she re-sign with AEW? Does she go to WWE? Does WWE put her into developmental and NXT, or do they put her right to the main roster? Will they pay her the kind of money that Tony Khan be willing to pay her? I don't know the answers to any of those questions. What I can tell you is this. If I'm Tony Khan, coming on the heels of the incredible work that she and Tony Storm did last year, you cannot convince me that there is not a program for her on AEW television. She and Mercedes would have been money, no pun intended. She and Statlander, she and Nightingale, she and you name it, put them into programs now. Megan Bain, talk about printing money. Put her in the ring with Jamie Hayter. She could go in there with anybody. Penelope Ford, you name it, Anna Jay. Put her in there with anybody. You should be able to do something with somebody who was able to essentially carry the division for a good part of the year last year, while Toni Storm was evolving her character and going into that, like, reverting back to her almost like rocker look from when she was a younger talent, all the way through the Timeless storyline. Mariah May brought it the entire feud. And the fact that Tony Khan would allow somebody like this, and when I say allow, let's be clear, I get it. She gets to choose her next destination, but we have heard time and time again about the kind of money that Tony Khan offers versus what WWE does. WWE has one pay tier for the NXT talent, a different pay tier for the main roster talent. Occasionally, like in the case of Jordynne Grace when she came from TNA, they gave her main roster money to go to NXT first, but let's be honest, she's already being called up to SmackDown, so she wasn't there long. I'm not sure that WWE would pay the same kind of money, even with main roster money, that Tony Khan could have paid Mariah May, and so much untapped potential with her if she would have stayed with AEW. But it sounds like she is on her way out the door. She's going to be joining the likes of the Lucha Brothers, Ricky Starks, Miro, Malachi Black, all leaving AEW this year. There are others. We're going to get to another one of those later this evening. But the reality is, I think this is, if she does indeed leave for WWE, massive loss for AEW. Now, if it's a swerve, you pull her off the roster page there. Look, Tony Khan is a smart guy. If he hears the whole internet world going crazy about Mariah's leaving and going to WWE and all of that, how genius would it be if she wasn't leaving? Feed into that. Remove her profile. Put her in like a alumni page kind of thing like WWE does. Whatever it is to fuel that fire, to make it very clear that she's gone. And then at All In or at Forbidden Door or something like that, bring her back. Have her attack the winner of the Mercedes Moné-Toni Storm match. I think that would be a great idea. I expect Mercedes to probably win that match. Have her attack Mercedes. Bring her back in grand style. Put her in a premium position. In a weird way, you could even have a situation where Toni Storm, because she's the face, have Toni Storm lose, Monet really attack her, and have her come out and make the save for Toni Storm, reuniting with Toni Storm as baby faces for her to have a program with Monet. I could go for all of that. Now, is it likely? Probably not. But Tony Khan seems to be that kind of guy who tries to think outside the box in the way that we fans who are fantasy booking stuff in our heads that don't have to pay the paychecks or worry about human resources would book things. I think that'd be an amazing program. Just my opinion. You could put it in the comments below if you'd like. Tell me if you would feel the same way. If you'd like to see Mariah May return to AEW and have a feud with Monet as a face for the Women's World Championship, I would love to see it. You could even do one of those things like they did with Stephanie Vaquer when they made her defend 2 championships in one night in NXT, and WWE likes to do so much to hit at AEW. You can do the same thing with Monet, who is undefeated, have her win the World Championship and have to defend the TBS title and the World Championship in one night and maybe lose one of those belts. I think that would be an interesting way for her to pick up her first loss, and one of those could be to Mariah May to really further it. Now, if she goes to WWE, and if they did pay enough money to get her, and if that's just where she wanted to be, kudos to her. Great for her. My concern is, think about the roster right now. We just had Julia, Roxanne Perez, Jordan Grace, Stephanie Vaquer, all brought up from NXT to the main roster. Are you really going to put another premium star on the main roster while you already have such a loaded roster? Unless, and I said this on the previous episode, if you're trying to build a tag team division, you're going to start putting some teams together. But every person I just mentioned, whether it's Roxanne, Julia, I could have seen those two as a tag team, but then they put them on different brands. Jordan Grace, Stephanie Vaquer, again, could see them together, but they're putting them on separate brands. I don't see what they're doing unless they're building teams, but all of these women are big personalities. So you can only have so many big... Think about this, right? What are you going to do when you have Charlotte Flair, Julia, Naomi, Sasha Banks, Jade Cargill, Jordan Grace? You're going to throw a Mariah May in there too? Or you go to the other side of things with Io and Rhea and Roxanne, and at some point, you run out of space for another premium star. So that would lend to, if she is going to WWE, maybe going to NXT on main roster money to learn the WWE style and presentation, and then eventually be called up. But right now, they've got such a backlog of incredible female talent, whether it's the Fallon Henleys or the Sol Rokas or whoever, and that's without a whole lot of the talent that you see coming up through Evolve and LFG, and even the young folks who didn't win the contracts through LFG. There was some other talents there who I'm sure WWE want to keep long term. So a lot of opportunity here in terms of the ladies division over the next couple years, the women's division in WWE. I don't see where she fits, though I think it's an incredible acquisition no matter who gets her. Maybe with the crossover with TNA, you can have her do stuff in NXT and in TNA, get some seasoning in a couple different places, and bring her to the main roster in a relatively quick fashion. I'm not sure. I am not the guy who gets paid to make those decisions, but definitely an interesting situation, one that I would love to be in charge of, because there are so many things you could do with this. On the same vine, let's say, Abaddon, another AEW women's talent, contracted talent. Her contract is not being renewed. She put a post out there on X. She made it clear that her contract with AEW is about to come to an end. It expires in June. She's not going to be renewed, which the way she phrased it, saying, she said, I will not be renewed. Saying I will not be renewed sounds like it was Tony Khan's decision, not hers. And she was clearly very emotional about it in the rest of her post. Clearly a talented young lady who didn't get to do a whole lot except for around Halloween time every year. She's clearly not done with wrestling. I don't know where she fits in terms of maybe, TNA or WWE. In WWE's overreaching umbrella, you can easily see her in like a Wendy Chu and maybe a Rosemary from TNA forming some kind of like spooky, creepy faction. I'd be all in for that. But that's the only thing I can really see. Now, again, like I said earlier, if you're trying to bolster a tag team division, going to WWE in some fashion would be a great idea for her. But again, it's another talent leaving AEW that kind of surprises me. I'm a little shocked that AEW would just keep letting talents go when clearly WWE is in somewhat of an acquisition mode. We recently found out that they are definitely moving forward with something in Europe. There's clearly going to be some kind of continuation of that WWE Europe concept, purchasing AAA and really grabbing a stronger presence down there. There has been talk in previous years of Japan, Australia. WWE is beyond global. It really is at this point. If I'm AEW, I don't give up any premium talent or even remotely premium talent at this time. Just a bad idea, just my opinion. I want to wrap up AEW conversation tonight before I move on to WWE. And honestly, this is the part that really bothers me, right? This past week, we saw a match on Dynamite between Kyle Fletcher and Adam Cole. A lot of debate and conjecture online this week about this. A power bomb onto the edge of the ring apron. Not a great idea if you ask me. I always think the apron powerbomb is bad. Even when Seth Rollins does it or Kevin Owens would do it, never a fan of the move. But this one here, I've seen all the comments online. People, I saw Brian Alvarez put up, he didn't hit his head, so that's good, but he did jack up his elbow, is the quote from Alvarez. It doesn't matter. Dave Meltzer weighed in on it, saying that there was a weak finish. It led to essentially nothing. I'm sure they're going to continue a program with Cole and Fletcher, but it really didn't take it anywhere. It's a botched move. I don't know why they went with something so risky, especially with a talent like Cole, who has had a litany of head injuries, neck injuries, shoulder injuries, and things in the last several years. You don't risk it. You just don't risk it. It's not a move that's necessary. There's enough crazy stuff that AEW does. You don't need to do something like this. And here's the bigger issue. I love that somebody made a comment that, a few inches, and you could have killed the guy. So why are we even trying something that only has a couple of inches difference between being a super painful move that's not necessary and death? Like, seriously. And when I see people trying to justify saying, oh, he didn't even hit his head, you have to slow it down, put it in slow motion to see that he didn't hit his head. We shouldn't have to do that. I get it, wrestling, you want it to look as realistic as possible, but that move is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. There apparently is some heat on Kyle Fletcher backstage. At least that's the report that the Wrestling Observer Radio had put out there. Not a great look for AEW in terms of keeping their talent safe. Not a fan of what they did, and hopefully they book better going in the future. I don't understand. On the topic of horrible booking decisions, we mentioned in our last episode about how WWE kind of ruined the AAA Mega Championship match taking place tonight in Mexico between Alberto El Patron and Vikingo. We all kind of feel like Vikingo is winning tonight so that he can set up the match with Chad Gable for the championship at Worlds Collide. I think that's like a foregone conclusion. And then once WWE was foolish enough to put that information out there in the World Wide Web, spread it all over Mexico, I guess they were using like 1980s booking ideas that like you can get away with this crap because territory to territory people don't know things. Well, in 2025, the world knows everything within seconds. So that was really a foolish decision to put that graphic up where Vikingo has the championship already. But that being said, they had to heat up the match. And one of the ways they did it, Vikingo's father was on a television show down in Mexico. And as they were doing an interview with El Patron, Alberto, they end up having Vikingo's father come out and interject in some way where it leads to Alberto El Patron attacking his father, ripping his shirt off in front of his wife, and all this stuff, and it apparently is a worked angle. It's not a shoot, but it does have the desired effect. It was spread all over social media recently, so there should be some heat going into tonight's main event for the AAA Mega Championship, which then goes to, well, what happens with Alberto once tonight's match is over? There has been talk. I know Hugo Savinovich, the guy who used to be with WWE, he's now a AAA broadcaster. He has been pushing hard for WWE to use Alberto at Worlds Collide. I think it would not be a bad idea. Now, look, I don't want to get any heat from anybody about my perspective on Alberto El Patron. I people who know my background know I'm a very, we have a legal system for a reason kind of person. Patron has a lot of sketchy history. He has the accusations in his relationship with Paige, accusations from another significant other. He had a situation where he was recently suspended in one of the locations in Mexico because of a fan altercation. A lot of really questionable stuff. But I also can tell you that the guy has served no time because everything has always been dropped. You know, the one was so bad that the person never even showed up to court. Now, I'm not knocking them if it was fear or they were threatened or if they just decided that, things didn't go down the way they had reported them or what, I don't know. But he's clearly a questionable character, to say the least. So you got to wonder, in a big corporation, publicly traded company, why they would want to bring that kind of negative element into their company. However, when you're trying to grow a market in Mexico, where clearly the Mexican fans have no problem with it, he's their AAA Mega Champion right now as of 8/17 at night tonight. You got to wonder if this is a situation where the Mexican fans don't care. I don't know, maybe they do. I have no idea. I'm not here to speak for the Mexican fans. But if they are appreciating his work, and if it's something where they're willing to turn the page because, the legal system played out and he wasn't found guilty of anything or anything like that, then I mean, we could debate it till the end of the earth, but legally speaking, do you really want to start a system where we start prohibiting people from getting employment because somebody makes a claim? Again, is it highly likely he did everything he was accused of? Probably. I would lean towards that way. But you can't hold people accountable and give them consequences for things that haven't been proven with due process. That's just my opinion. So I'm curious to see how things progress. There was a lot of talk early that he and WWE were not on good terms, but apparently, I think the quote that was used was that things are not as frosty between Alberto and WWE as it may appear. I think that was on Wrestling Inc. That they are clearly willing to have a conversation. Somebody actually put out there that they expect that he will return to WWE at some point. But Dave Meltzer is of the opinion that he does not think it'll be anytime soon on actual WWE television. But then again, Worlds Collide isn't a WWE main show, so guess we'll have to wait and see. Gotta touch on 14th and Eyes, which is Vince McMahon's new company. Just throwing out there, 14th and Eyes is a reference to the original location of Capital Sports, which was the company that his grandfather originally started. And it sounds like, this endeavor that we've been theorizing for quite a while is going to be a real-to-deal thing. They're going to work in sports, media, and entertainment. Whether this is a passageway back to the world of professional wrestling, I don't know. I know there are talents that are very much loyal to Vince McMahon that did not see any of these things that are put into the accusations that we've heard about. So I don't necessarily think that he would struggle to find talent, though I don't know how many talents are actually available and contract-free at the moment. If they were, I think somebody would scoop them up. You have to wonder, is this a situation where he may work with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff on Real American Wrestling, freestyle wrestling? Not sure. Maybe. Possibly. It is a powerful person in the world of sports entertainment to get involved in something like that. Not sure what exactly he's going to do. I know this week was a big week for him. John Laurinaitis, no longer a defendant in the case with Janelle Grant, who has... I forget the terminology for it, basically has dropped her charges against him and cannot refile. So now he's going to testify with evidence against McMahon, which is not good news for McMahon. I still don't know how to feel about all of that stuff. I'm not going to get into it on this show, but interesting time to be an outside person observing all of this traffic around Vince McMahon with so much of a jaded background and then still getting out there in the business world and putting something together. Got to touch on SmackDown from last night. So, the return of Bianca Belair kicked off the show. Glad to see her back. I love that they had her hand all taped up. If anybody remembers, there was a picture she put on X that showed how horribly disfigured and messed up her finger was post PLE. She needed some time to get healed up. She is not ready to go yet. She's not 100%. It was nice to have her come out and be a part of the show, though. I think that's important. Keep her face out there so you don't forget about the storylines that involve her. Still hearkening back to Naomi and Jade, which of course led into the women's triple threat for the Money in the Bank qualifier. I don't think anybody's surprised that Naomi picked up the win here. Cargill and Nia Jax, I think those two in the ring is just, it's awesome. I really do. I don't say that often about Nia Jax, but since her return to the company, she has been worlds, light years better. And I would argue Jade Cargill, since coming back from her injury, has also been at the top of her game. Naomi has been a premium talent for a very long time. I think very underappreciated for a long, long, long time. Glad to see her getting some real quality spots. I would not be surprised if she won the Money in the Bank. She is the winner of this match and moved into that match. I will have to wait and see how that plays out. When they had the JC Mateo R-Truth match, didn't really love seeing R-Truth getting squashed by somebody not related to this John Cena feud already, but obviously he is now, full-blown SmackDown at this point. I know at his age he has to kind of be a jobber, an enhancement talent of sorts. I just hate seeing it. I think that match with John Cena, for as little as it was a lot also. It showed you that he can go, even if it's in short bursts. I just like to see him a little better used. I really would. I don't understand why WWE feels the need to essentially bury the guy. I think he's got a lot more talent than they're willing to push, which is a shame. He's a good dude, and he's been around for forever, and he still looks like he's in his 20s. So, I don't know. We'll have to see if they ever give him anything substantial to do. I know people were screaming they would have loved to have seen him beat John Cena through some kind of schmaz ending if the belt wasn't on the line, which it wasn't in that match. So, you could have done it, and I think it would have brought some really great publicity for John Cena in terms of his legacy in WWE had he put him over. But I understand why they couldn't. It is what it is. They moved on after that to the tag team championship scene. I hate it. I really do. I hate all the teams that came out and then getting laid out by the Wyatt Six. I love that they're doing something with the Wyatt Six. I got sick and tired of waiting for them to come out. I'm glad they came out and did something. And then it was really weird that after they come out and lay out everybody in the ring, the next match we get is another tag team match, Javon Evans and Rey Fenix versus Los Garza, which is a fine match. I don't know what you're doing with Rey Fenix, why he's with Javon Evans. I understand they're both in a match at Worlds Collide, but they have nothing to do with Los Garza. So, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That being said, hating seeing Rey Fenix lose to Los Garza under any circumstance, even if it's Javon Evans picking up the pin. And then after the match, getting Uncle Howdy to appear on the screen, talking about the Wyatt Six again, won't stop until they get what they're owed. Almost implying there's I don't know, maybe a tag team championship opportunity. I don't know why they would feel they're owed that, but, whatever. Maybe you look all the way back to when they were fighting with, Chad Gable and the Creed brothers, and maybe they think they were owed something back then, but I don't know. It seems awful long time ago to be holding on to that kind of storyline. The Zelina Vega, again, another week goes by, and another win for Zelina Vega, taking out Alba Fire, which I'm fine with. This feud is starting to feel like, starting to drag just a little bit. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm not a big fan of the feud to begin with. I thought Chelsea Green deserved better. I would love to see them take all the people who lost their qualifying matches and put them into one massive battle royal or something where Chelsea Green could still get into Money in the Bank. And I'm not going to lie to you, I would give anything to see her win Money in the Bank and cash in and take the world championship of some kind. I know that's not going to happen. It's wishful thinking on my part, but that's what I think she deserves. I actually think, if I'm doing my early predictions, I think Julia's going to win Money in the Bank, but whatever. But I hate this feud. I really do. Damian Priest came out, actually, in a lot of ways, put over Drew McIntyre. Him trying to get in Jacob Fatu's business, I'm okay with that as well, because it gives Fatu something to do that's not Solo. But then they're pushing the Solo card so hard, it's like, how long can you possibly wait? I guess till SummerSlam. But I don't love it. I don't love the fact that Fatu is not going to be in Money in the Bank, because I apologize, we had the triple threat for the men's Money in the Bank, Carmelo Hayes, Jacob Fatu, and Andrade. Putting Andrade into that match really does nothing. He's not winning. unless Triple H has pulled a complete about face and is suddenly going to give a Money in the Bank win to Andrade that'll turn into like an Austin Theory cash-in for like a secondary title, which kind of craps on Money in the Bank, I don't see why anybody would get excited about seeing Andrade in this. Not that he's not qualified or talented enough, but you haven't built him up on the main roster to have won anything of any importance. So before you put him into the consideration for a legitimate Money in the Bank winner, you got to do more with the guy. I did see people debating. Wrestle Talk News had a great show this week, their Wrestle Talk podcast, where they talked about whether Triple H even appreciates Money in the Bank. I don't know that he does either. They actually referenced on that show how he's never participated in one and he's never been cashed in on, which is absolutely ludicrous if you think about how many times he's won the championship and how long Money in the Bank has been out there. So maybe not his favorite concept. I think that's kind of crazy because all you need to do is look at for Money in the Bank for what it is. You book stuff so far in advance. Money in the Bank, much like the Royal Rumble, should be, I already have identified that talent that I want to push next, and this is how I do it. And I have a second one that's going to be at the Rumble. And if you bring back the King and Queen of the Ring, I know that they get a championship opportunity now. So those things you should already be thinking of ahead of time. Heck, bring back Battle Bowl. I'm still campaigning for them to bring back WCW's Battle Bowl concept and have that winner get a championship opportunity to do 4 championship opportunities a year. Is it take away from the Rumble? Yeah, maybe, but the Rumble's the only one that gets the main event at WrestleMania. So, then again, you don't put them in the main event. Anyway, so we'll have to wait and see. But Andrade, waste of a space, just my opinion. We get the interview with John Cena and Logan Paul, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. It felt really great right up until the Logan Paul interaction with John Cena, the physicality, when they were going to walk away, leading to some really awkward close shots, a really short super kick from Jey Uso at one point. I just didn't like it. It didn't feel right. It felt almost two-stage. And I'm going to say this. I can't believe I'm going to say this. The best talker in the whole promo segment, first off, when Jey Uso goes back up to the turnbuckle to do his second round of yeeting, which is, if you think about it, he comes out before the commercial break, his music's playing all the way through the commercial break, then we come back from commercial break, and then he does his second one again. Think of how long his music was playing for. The look on Cody's face when he was like, oh my God, it was great to see Cody giving him kudos, but after that, everything was trash for me except for Logan Paul. Logan Paul was the best part of the promo. I couldn't care less about the John Cena part, the other Cody part, the Jey Uso part. It just all felt forced. Logan Paul felt authentic. He's a character who really is who he says he is. Even Eric Bischoff this week on 83 Weeks was talking about how he feels like Logan Paul is just light years ahead of where you would think he would be this early in his career, and how he said something like his brain must have been generated by AI or something of that nature. Like he's a guy who must have been generated by an AI thing because of just how perfect he is. He's everything you would want from a professional wrestler. He's just got every single attribute. If you were saying, I want to have this, I want to have that in a guy for your company, he's got it. He's come along so fast with so little background. Was not an indie star who got a break. He's a social media icon who got an opportunity because of his followers, and he's made the most of it. It's a beautiful thing to see. So interesting stuff there. Not sure how they're going to book Money in the Bank. I suspect Paul and Cena go over. I hope not, but I suspect they will. I think they need to cool the jets on the Cody Rhodes stuff for a little while, so Cody can have some other feud elsewhere before going back after the World Championship. And let's be honest, if Cody was going for the World Championship, why would he want a tag team match at Money in the Bank instead of going into Money in the Bank and trying to get an opportunity to win that championship back? Unless he thinks he's entitled to something that only a couple years ago, WWE, whether it's Steph and Triple H and everybody was saying that you don't automatically get rematches anymore. So, some inconsistency there is if he gets a world title opportunity. I think you need to pull him out of the world title picture for a little while so you can do some other things and then bring him back much later, closer to the end of Cena's run, to do whatever it is you're going to do. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode where we'll run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always going out to Suno AI for generating the music and sound effects we use in the show. Today's show is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to thegamecrafter.com and pick up your copy today. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, or maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to my website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us tonight, and until next time, take care, everybody. Enjoy the matches.
Wrestling Podcast.